So, hi everybody and welcome back. This is a full game tutorial for absolute beginners. This is video number 7, and in this video we continue, of course, with our game production. But first of all, in the last video I showed you that you should try to set up a source control, because at least GitHub, because GitHub is more or less not too difficult. And after you set up, then you have something like this one. You can go here, and if you are already logged in on your account like me, I'm logged here in. Here's my profile, and I have also opened up anywhere desktop, I think, not this one. Anyway, I have opened up also desktop, Git desktop, but that's not so very important. But after you open up your project, you can go here to source control, just go to here connect, just select, for example, Git. But if you learn Perforce, even better, or one of this other. So it's not necessarily to use Git, you can just use it. I use it for this tutorial, and then you just click it. And then here are all the settings, accept settings in my case. And you see we are already connected to Git. And now when I change here again anything, then I can click Git again, submit to content, which will submit it to your local hard drive. And then you can open, for example, in my case, Git desktop, and then send it to the GitHub server. Which means just this one. You make something submit, and right now there is a main menu, and then you write here, for example, okay, here, okay, I changed something, but don't know what, don't know what. And this kind of submits make no sense, but it's just for demonstration purposes. And you can see now I submitted it on my hard drive. Now I should open up Git desktop. I think it's not up, which means I have to open it up. Oh no, I opened instead accidentally Android Studio. That was not Git desktop. Yeah, all right. I close this, and I need Git desktop. It's already up here, right? And then you can see it will send here, then you fetch this. So you can see it's very easy, very fast to set up. And also here, this one is the wrong one. Here we are. And here you can see when you change something, there are popping up some symbols here that there is something changed that you can submit. And you have not to submit all time. Just submit after you've done a work, and then it works. After you tested it, then submit it. So, but in this video now, we need set up again one thing. We can't start with our game production, because what we need to set up is something very simple. I created here, for example, a test level. I created here a project, and I called it mobile game component. And here I will use our game. I will create our game. But this project here is not my final project. What I mean with that is I have created here one more project here. So I have created 2, and this is my final project. And why I'm doing this one, why I create 2, the one here where I will develop all the things what I want set up is this project here. And after I tested it and all works, I will just create in this project that what I need. And here I just created a blank project. But you see it is not even blank, but careful, this is just start screen. So if you press here, for example, save, it would ask to save all that what is in the outliner here. You don't have to, you just can go here to file, new level, empty level, create empty, and then save this here instead. Of course, you would have to set up here all the kinds of stuff as well. For example, your source control, go here, but you can see it's very easy. I think I can set this up here, but before I set here something up, let me create a map, because right now our content is empty, and that's very good. let's create here fast, at least save this level here, this empty level here. Let's go here, save current level, current whatever. Save this map here, and I call it actually, before I call it anything, I should create faster folder for it, because we are here in content, and I call it here directly new folder, and I call it level, and then I can save it in this level. Makes more sense. Then we press Ctrl S, it's faster. And here's my level. I click now on my level. Now I'm in my level folder, and I save this new map as map underscore main menu or game map. I have not a separate map. If you have different maps, then you can make different maps, but I plan just to use one, but it's not certain. But let's call it just map game. That's it. So I saved this one, and then you can set up fast source control again, and you can see how fast this is. You go here, just this one. Here you have all this kind of stuff again. But I think I don't make this now. You know how this works, right? So you can set up here source control again, but later, not now, because here in this one we have, like I said, we have to set up other things. Now I switch back to my normal project. Here I will create all my files, and by the way, you don't have to create this other project. I make this because for a certain reason, and I will explain this in a moment. And let's explain it right now. The reason why I make this is I want here create all the projects files. I will test it here. But the problem is I will probably have here also files which I don't want to have in my final package. And that means I will only migrate here the content which I really use in my final package. And that's why this folder is absolute empty. And we have to set up here also other things, which are, we have to kick out plugins which we don't need. That's also very important. And but later more for this one. Before we go to this folder, so that was the reason why I have this other project. The other project is my final project, which means I put in only files which I need in it, so that my package size is super minimal, so that I only test that what I will really use, and all other stuff I don't want to have in it. But of course, you don't have to do this. Like I said, if you have a very, very big project, you probably create, not like me, another project. You can. But perhaps what you do is then the other option, which is you can go to project settings. And in project settings, we have to set up this project settings anyway right now. And in project settings, there is a place where you can exclude content or not include in your final package, and that's also a way. But the problem is you have then track this all down and then test this one separately afterwards anyway, and that's why I make a separate project. It's easier. I migrate only what I really want in the final section. Then I don't need to track down what other things are in my project which I don't want to include, and something like that. It's easier for me, but that is only preference, which means absolute not necessarily. You can choose what you want. But important is what we have to do is set up our project, and that's why we are here in project settings. Again, how I go to the project settings, here file, you go here file, and then where is this, not file, sorry, edit. Here in edit we have here editor preference. This one we don't care. We care only about project settings, and later about plugins as well, because plugins can cause trouble. I would say some with plugins which we don't need. So first of all, we click project settings. In project settings, there are many things to set up normally, because now we are aiming for a finished project. But I will not go all through here. What you have to do now is, and that's again your job, is there are some main places, and just click, for example, here anything what we need, and you see here a lot of things which says, I don't know, this, and then you go here, maps and modes, and it says this. Your job now is to set this up, but don't worry, this kind of stuff looks difficult. Actually, it's not difficult. But what you have to do is, let me show you this. This here is just most time, not all time, but most time, just a checkbox. Here in this case not, but you can see there are most time a checkbox, which means you say yes or no, and sometimes you have provide I don't know, IDs and so on, but or your name or path file or something like that. But most time it is just a checkbox. And then but your job is now to read this one, this name here. You have to research this online in the online documentation, what this is, and then decide for your project, do I need it or not? And that's, yes, you have to do it at least one time for the important areas. So not all areas here. There are some important areas, and I don't know also all areas, but I know only some important areas. But for this video, we set really the bare minimum, but not the bare minimum actually, because we are aiming for a real release. But we start with a bare minimum, and your job, like I said, is try to read a little bit more what is best practice to set up, for example, a project for a special target platform, and that's very important as well. Like I said in one of my other videos, you have to find a game genre which you want to make. What means game genre? It means just if you make a first-person shooter game, or if you make a puzzle game, if you make a mobile game, if you make a RPG game for desktop or console or VR, you have to find this target device as well, and you have to specify this one here. And for this kind of stuff, there are additional work to do, because the targets platform has most time a little bit more setup that I will show you in a moment too, with a mobile demonstration. But I will not set up the mobile here. I will only set up the Windows demonstration, which you can use, by the way, also for this Epic Mega Jam, which comes here in 30 days now. And in this one, it's just there you just need this Windows setup, which means you make a application, a game for a Windows. But of course, in my case, I want the setup for Android and Windows. There you have to set up more. So which areas are very important? Let me show you these areas which we are concentrating most time. We have here a description, because we are going to release a full game. This area you have to fill. So read this description area. You say description is not very important. During development it's not important, but later when you want release it, you should have here a proper description, ID, and all this kind of stuff. You read this through, make a proper description here for your game, because that will be used. Then we have here encryption. This one here is important too, but not in development packaging. What I mean with development packaging is we have here two different kind of packaging. You can package here. Let me go to packaging and show you this. We have here packaging, right? And in this packaging section, we go here to this project, and we can go here build target, and not build target, here this build configuration. And this build configuration say now for what you want built. And if you are finished with your game, you have tested all, and you say, I have set up all, then you go for shipping. This is the final goal which we have, shipping version, right? And before that, there are other build versions, and you can see it. For example, development or debug game or something like that. And here we will use first debug development packaging, which means it is a little bit more in size, and because the shipping version has a little bit less size. In development there are some development tools included, and there is one more thing what I want to mention here. We will test in development, but still you have to test in shipping as well, because shipping is really the final product, and we have to test in this case here and this case here. But at start we will use this development build configuration, but later shipping. And with shipping here, one more thing. In shipping there changes some things, and for example for the page itch.io, for example, where is that? Why is that not open all? I have all open, and now it's nothing open anyhow. All right, here. Okay, here. Here for the epic mega gems, you can go to itch.io. You can see, then you click here to game gems, and in game gems you can see I said you should participate at least in this epic mega gems here, and you see here already 572 people joined. You should join as well, and you can see also here here 1,000 other mega game gems as well. But as a beginner you should try to join here, because this one is special for Unreal Engine made, and we are learning Unreal Engine. So try to join here. When I click on it, let me click on this one, then it pops up, and you can see we have here still almost 30 days time, and that's is the time where I want to finish this one version of a full game, and I will make again a full game with this knowledge which I present here in during this mega gem, like I said. But there we have only 7 days, and that is almost nothing. Keep this in mind. 7 days is really less, but it's possible. It's possible, and I will make a tutorial as well during this time. But I will not participate in this mega jam because I have too less time in general if I make tutorials, and I have anyway no time because there I have other plans. All right, but that you should participate. That's very important. Even if you have no knowledge, absolute starter, don't worry about this. Participate. Like I said, you will get also free assets. Alone from this free assets you can participate, and if you are good you win something, and I showed you this one. But more important, why I'm here, that is the real reason why I'm here. itch.io, the final here, the final game, when you are finished you should go for shipping, and then you can ship it in final itch.io without problems after you registered. I said in one of my videos, careful, this registration take a little bit time. You have give their tax information and other informations and so on. So make this fast, not one day before or at the same day, because all this information, if you don't have, you can't register here, and you can't participate in this competition, because you should upload your game here in this itch.io. That's very important. And why I'm mentioning this as well is this shipping here is different. For example, what I mean with that, in shipping mode I said this website itch.io or other Google Play, Steam, Amazon games, and other Microsoft games, they have sometimes different requirements. And what I mean with them is some of them have yes, want money that you create an account, and then some of them want that you provide encryption. I think we have to provide encryption for Google Play, and this encryption is here. Like I said, you provide a key, public exposed key or something like that, and that will also shown at least on a mobile. That was on a mobile, because I already made some mobile game, and they said you should try an encryption for mobile. So they have different requirements, and sometimes you have to learn these tutorials as well, and that's why we make this, and that's why I said you should try. And that's why we try to release this game, so you can see what the different places has for requirements. And of course, these requirements means you have to learn also this kind of stuff, what they want. It takes time, and like in tutorials, and to make it. But let's concentrate us now only in this video for let's go here and packaging. We concentrate us first of all not for shipping. It's almost similar, but some more additional work here perhaps, depends on the platform, target platform and so on. But we go for development, and development will just make a test version on your hard drive, so you can start it on your own hard drive and see and test it a little bit around. So first of all, we need, I say now only the things what we have to set up, the description settings here for later if you fill this up. Encryption depends when they ask for that, normally, yeah, depends. This one is very important, maps and mods. You should know this already from tutorials. If not, then you need to set this up. Why you need to set this up? Here, let's start here with this default map, and that is very important for a shipped game. The shipped game or any game has a start map. And if you don't provide here a start map at which is the right place, then the customer can't start your game anyhow, and this is a problem. So important is this here, not this editor start map actually, this one here, game default map. This setup is very important. In my case, I made here just for test purposes here a map main menu. I called it map main menu. That was, and this one is not even my final game project. Like I said, I used the other one, but you should know this, right? So, and then let's see what we have here. Is there something? And then you can read here all the other things too, if you have something like the transition maps. If you know what a transition map is, then you know. I mean, most time you have to watch this tutorial, then you know what a transition map is. It's just a map which is changing from one map to another with a certain, yeah, something like that. But that's not so important right now. Right now is important. Like I said, this is the most important setting here, but there is another very important setting, and this one is probably this default game mode. You want to set up your own game mode most time for this map, which is your starter map. And the reason for that is because you have probably programmed here, yes, this start sequence. And this game mode will start your skill. In my case, for example, I set up here this very simple game mode, and it has right now, what it has just create widget blueprint, which is just creating a widget, add it on the viewport, and here is missing something. Interesting. Here is missing something. Perhaps I set this in the blueprint just for test purposes. Yes, I set it here in this blueprint. So the blueprint here is creating a widget, adding it to the viewport just for test purposes, and I make a show mouse cursor because this version is not for mobile. This one is right now testing. Like I said, we test it just for development and desktop, and the target place we will talk in a moment. Important is this tests here setup. Why I have this one here, I don't know, but normally I would set up here in this place. In game mode is the right place. I would not use this game level here. That was just for fast test purposes, and you can see I make here sometimes the codes which I really don't need, and later when I go switch to my final, oops, not this one, to my, come on, here to my final game, I will only migrate that what I need, and all this little, let's say, test things, what you can see here, something I will keep here, deactivate it or kick it out or whatever. Sometimes I forget it, but I will not care because I know exactly later what I migrate to my final project, and I know there it must work. So let's continue here fast with the settings so that you know exactly what we still need. So here in maps and mobs, maps and mobs, I said mobs, nice. And here you continue with this You set here this the default game mode, very important, and if you have other things in the default mode as well. Right now we are at the start point, I have nothing. If you have instance, of course, you can set this as well. I have nothing. So let's go. You can go on here. Movie, I skip, I will not use, but of course, if you have something like that, package, very important. Let's go here a little bit. Package is important, like I said. You can the best thing is here, what you can do is use Unreal Engine 5 documentation and use best practice. Of course, like I said before, you can see here are many things to tick. And if you tick, you should just research what these are, or is this good for you project, because every person has his own projects, right? Its own game type. Some need it, some need it not, and depends also on your hardware and all this kind of stuff. So here you can, I keep this setup. I have made here, for example, no iOS. If you make also a target platform for iOS or something like that. And yeah, you can read this one. This is again your setup. And you can see packaging is also important. Let's see, supported platforms. Yes, the supported platforms here is your target platforms. In my case, for example, all these other things I have not Android. I want, because my game will be a mobile game. But for this video, I will use it also on Windows, which means for this tutorial, I make it for Windows as well. And interesting is Windows compiles much faster than Android. I have a bad setup, probably an old setup. I have to update this probably, and Android is in general slow, I think. Windows is very fast, so you select your target platform. For example, if you make an iOS or TV or Linux, who knows, HoloLens is VR or something like that. You can set it here. And careful, when you select this supported platform, means also they have special setups. For example, this Windows has very less setups, almost nothing. So for this tutorial, you should select first Windows, and if you want one of this other, they have special setups. I'll show you this in a moment. Target hardware, in this one, that was when you set it up your project at the start. You set, for example, desktop. Normally what you want when you make a very high quality game, or not high quality, let's say even a middle quality game, you would set it normally to desktop, and then you would set to maximum, right? So what it's here, in my case, I make mobile and scale. This is probably the most basic setup, because I said this game what I make is very simple for mobile and with low-end hardware, right? Something like that. So in my case, you set it up for desktop if you need high quality, which is where you can use better assets. Here one more thing that's very important. Mobile is not supporting many assets and many features, so careful about that. If you are using something like this as a target platform, you have to read that you can't use all things, or you can use it only limited. That's also, and that's why easier would be desktop with maximum quality to make a normal game, because that would be a easier setup. So for example, if you want to participate in this game engine here, like I said, you should just use desktop with maximum quality, I would say. Only if you are intended to make it special for mobile or VR or something like that, then you would go for something like this here. All right, then let's see this asset manager and asset tools. This is a little bit you can read about this, but this is probably not so important right now. In Engine, yeah, here we need actually many input knowledge and so, but in general, you can skip this right now. Later not, of course. If you get it once, then you can have knowledge how to set this up, because these are only setups, right? For example, collision setup, and then set up this one for this one. But in general, for our purpose, you can skip this engine and this editor. Yes, you will. This is just for editor settings. You can skip this editor for now too, but to read it, perhaps you can't skip it. Who knows? Perhaps not. because I tell you right now only very basics. Of course, if you go intermediate and advanced, there will be a reason why this all of kind is here, right? So, but at start, not so important. But here, this one is important again. Platforms. And like I said, you should, to make it very simple and to participate, for example, in this game jam for itch.io, use only Windows to make it simple, and then you can set it up. Here in my case, I have all by default, and you can set up then here this icon, and here other things, audio setups, but I keep all in default. And read again, of course, all what this kind of stuff is, because, and don't worry, you will not do this all time. Make it one time right. Save all the things here. Yes, I will talk about the save in a moment as well. And yeah, okay, you set this up, target platform. In my case, for example, I mentioned that if your target platform is, for example, not only Windows, because Windows is the, I think it's compiles very fast. What I mean with that depends on your game. If your game is very big, it still takes time. But compared, for example, to Android, which I have here and here, is something else what I wanted to tell you here. For Android, you have a special setup, and the setup for Android needs that you install Java, Android Studio, and you see there is again a requirement that you watch a tutorial how to set up all this kind of stuff. I have here a setup from a very old one, and yeah, when you go, for example, the other ones here, this is all for Android setup. But for example, HoloLens has probably a special setup too. iOS probably also. If you make for iOS, then you need again an iOS PC probably, because I think it's not even possible without a Mac. They require something like that, and so. And if you make for Linux, Linux is, I think Linux is very simple as well, because it looks similar to Windows, where you have not to set up much. So all the other things you have probably set up a little bit more. For example, in my case, like I said, this one, I needed install 4 things and then set up them properly and change variables and so on. But you need to watch a tutorial when you make something like that. So the easy solution is just make a Windows if you have a Windows, and it works out of the box, I would say. And then here is the last topic what I want to talk, and plugins. And actually, plugins can cause problems. I figured this out. Yes, plugins can cause problems, and you have to think if you really want to use all the plugins by default. What I mean with that is later, for example, I think in this right now for the first time you can skip this, but later you have really check every plugin and then kick them out if you are not using them. And the reason for that is plugins, when you watch these plugins, most time they don't take too much space. They are very little, but if you make it for Android or something like that, then they can take still a little bit space, but it's not too much. But much more important is from the plugins, they can cause problems. That is the real problem why you want to kick out plugins which you are not needed. On the other side, there are some plugins which you should install because they can help. So that's the problem. You have to figure out what you need and what you not need, and that's very important. Like I said, they cause problems. I had to, for example, I tried to pack Android with my old settings here, and actually Unreal Engine 5 had a new plugin, and this plugin caused that this packaging of rendering anything stuck on a package and could not render. And the best part is it even gives me not an error message, it just stuck there. It tries, and yeah, and it was just a plugin. Yes, so you can see why I say you must careful about these plugins. Plugins are most time third-party software. Third-party software means it is not, let's say, it is not optimized to use out of the box sometimes, or yeah, they have not checked all cases what can cause problems. And that's why you have to think if you kick out plugins which you are not using, and this kind of stuff you can make in your final project. So for example, like I said, my final project here, I migrate only that what I use, and before I use anything or migrate anything, I go to this plugin folder and kick out all things what I don't need, what I think I don't need, and still careful which what you kick out, because you need the knowledge what is used and what is not used. And again, you have to set this up. So I think that was a long talk, and in short, let me show you this one again. What you should definitely do here: set this one fast if you want make a fast setup for a moment, but of course all the other things are very important too. Set this fast up and skip all other supported platform, of course this one also, because we have target. This target should be already set up, because when you create your game, this one is already set up. And platforms, set this one up, and if you have other things, then like I said, you will probably have additional setups to do and watch probably tutorials how to do this. And yeah, these plugins you can skip as well at the start. Only don't skip if you see the packaging causes problem. Like in my case for Android, I stuck there for hours because I went out, come back, and it was still packaging. Something like that. All right, with that said, I think we covered this section, and I stop here and go to the next video where we will really start planning our core, how we progress that. But it will, again, let's say a little bit a plan before we really start, because that's very important. So with that said, if you have any question or any complaints like all time, write it in the comments, and see you in the next. Bye. Good luck.